Okay, hi. So nice to get lots of questions. So let's see. But the cow thing really, two of you like that one. All right. The concept of the cow, as I said, is from an old Tibetan monk who said that. But the principle is, remember, in our method, we're not trying to add things. Western people like to add things, new skills, new exercise, new whatevers. This method, the Eastern method, is to remove that which is blocking you or hurting you or hindering you, or that it's a negative method. It's to remove things. So the idea is that it's all your desires and your busyness with things, which is fine. I mean, we have to keep busy and desire certain things, but it's to understand that the desires are causing you suffering. So the idea is that if you just eat, sleep, and drink, which is desires, right? Or eat, sleep, and shit, sorry, which are desires. That they're desires. I desire to eat. I desire to sleep. I desire to go to the toilet. If you just follow the basic desires rather than Madison Avenue desires, then you will be a lot more content. But the problem where life is suffering is that you're going after always newer cars, better cars, nicer clothes, more stuff that really is totally irrelevant to you in your life. So to have peaceful life is to follow the desires which are necessary rather than desires which are superfluous. So, okay? So that, hopefully, you'll understand the concept behind that example. All right, now, as far as Barnaby asking about the camera, the Kodak, Fuji, was whichever the supplier was. Well, what do you mean fire the supplier? I mean, if it's something you can only get from one place and it's a reputable company, you have nothing you can do about it. If you have something in writing, maybe you could go back on them. The quote they gave me was verbal, so it's really a case-by-case basis. You have to just deal with every situation uniquely. This is a big problem. Another old Tibetan who was giving lectures, Sogyal Rinpoche, you might have heard of him, very famous all over the world. I went to a 10 days workshop there with him, and he always had to say, it was in the US, and he always had to start with saying, now, an example is just an example. And he had to say that so many times. And this is a Western problem, is you take examples as literal instead of understanding that the actual events described in the example are merely to convey a concept. So you have to focus on the concepts rather than the literal examples. The concept in the story with the camera is that I honor my word even if I have to lose money. If you want to be a person of great value, your word has to be honored even if you will lose. All right? So that's the point. It has nothing to do with the supplier quoting wrongly or money or not. No, you completely miss the point. It's not a business lesson. It's a lesson in character. Okay? Daniela, you're asking about procrastination, how to fix it. This is, a huge problem. And that's what all these concepts are about, is first explaining to you why do you procrastinate. Now, you procrastinate because of the fragments, which are pulling you in two different directions. So, obviously, if you have two people pulling you one way and the other pulling you the other way, and they are both of equal strength, you will not move. Right? So, two people pulling on a rope of equal strength, a tug of war, nobody moves. When one is stronger, then you move in that direction. And the stronger it is over the opponent, the faster it moves. So procrastination means that your two fragments or two options are of equal strength, which you then, being the one in the middle, being pulled two ways, have to draw from the central I. What do I really want to cut the rope in one direction or another so that you will then move forward. And the way to know what you really want is to eliminate all of the fragments that come from other people's thoughts, all of the superfluous desires of things, and get down to the simplicity of the cow and just eat, sleep, and shit, which is, what do I really need? Now, when I get down to my desires being, what do I really need? Then I don't have procrastination. I don't have, which is the same as inner conflict. Of course, procrastination comes because I'm in conflict. I'm in conflict because I have multiple fragments pulling me in opposite directions. So when I eliminate the fragments which are accumulated merely by things I see, and like a child in a candy store, I want everything, then there's no more procrastination because there's no more confusion. Okay? So, these things again work with, give our work time. Spend 6 months, a year doing the exercises. You will find there will be a change, but it is gradual and slow and relative to the effort you put in. Okay. Mark, how strict on yourself? Well, that depends on how much you want to change, right? How fast do you want to get there? Well, that determines how fast you're going to run or pedal the bicycle, right? So it is up to you. I have extremely strict rules upon myself. I demand perfection on myself in every way I can. But at the same time, I'm reasonable. In other words, when I started learning brush calligraphy, I didn't demand perfection and get upset if I didn't achieve it when I began, because I know that my skill is not there. So when you say how strict on yourself, in a vague sense, you didn't give a specific example, the answer really is a matter of strict about what? Is it on keeping your word? Extremely strict. Is it about achieving perfection in a sport when you just started to learn how? No, this you can have a little leeway. Okay? So it depends on what you want to achieve, what the subject is you're discussing, and how much you care, really. So it's entirely up to you. There is no strict rule. It's purely subjective and individual for you to decide on a case-by-case basis for yourself. How often to be mindful, you ask? Well, how often to be mindful? How strict? Excuse me, let me answer you with, if you have a boat and you're building a wooden boat, how watertight do you want it to be? If you're doing a roof or building a house, how watertight do you want the roof to be? If you don't mind a few leaks, you don't have to be that mindful. But if you want it to be absolutely watertight, then you have to be constantly mindful. So again, it's up to you. She'll be right. She'll do. That's fine. That's good enough. That's okay. Okay, with that attitude, as it's very common in, let me say, a few countries, then of course you don't have to be very mindful. But what are you going to have? A leaky house? You're going to have a leaky boat? You're going to have a leaky bank account? You're never going to get very wealthy. You're never going to get very successful. You're never going to get highly skilled to the top of your field. So how often to be mindful determines on how much you care about whatever it is you're trying to achieve. All right. Pearl, energy is really spent on resistance. Okay, you don't build energy, you waste energy. All right, when you resist, again by inner conflicts, that's where the energy goes. All right, so I don't have really many inner conflicts, so I have a tremendous amount of energy. All right, so if we're like a cow, there's no resistance. I need to eat, I eat. I need to sleep, I sleep. Okay, going to the toilet, you may have to wait, depending on where you are. But no inner conflicts. Okay, so this is a matter of opinions, because an inner conflict or a conflict with someone else is a matter of having an opinion. An opinion means you're not present. Because if I have an opinion, the opinion was formed at one point in my life. So if I developed an opinion about whatever it is, gay people, because that's an argument I just had with someone recently who was very atrociously opinionated about that topic. If you have an opinion, you're not actually looking at the person today. You're not looking at the situation today. You're not present. You're fixed in your opinion, which was formed decades ago. So all opinions are, if you're fixed in an opinion, or you have an opinion right now, you have now taken yourself through a time transporter and gone back to the point in time when that opinion was formed, and you are not being present in the moment to look at what is really happening. Now, I invest in the stock market, right? I do trading in the stock market. I've lost millions of dollars on it, and I've made millions of dollars on it because I've now figured out what I was doing wrong. And what I was doing wrong is I had opinions. When I would listen to a report on a company, or I would look at the way the market is going, or when Donald Trump got elected, I was of a very certain opinion that the market was going to crash, that this was going to be a disaster for the world. So I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on trades based on Trump being a disaster for the world. All right. So I have learned my opinions are poison. So I take what is happening, and the way I trade now is literally seconds. Sometimes my trades are literally only seconds long or minutes long, and they're based on what is happening right now. Not my opinion of what I think is right or wrong. I think Donald Trump is an idiot, but he's very good for the stock market. So originally, when he got elected, I used my opinion, he's an idiot, the market will go down. I lost money. Now I say, he's an idiot, but he's good for the market. So I'm trading differently and making money. So the stock market is a very good example because over the 8-9 years I've been doing this, I found that anytime I have an opinion about something, I usually lose. But when I have no opinion and I am merely watching the wave, watching what is happening, I can trade successfully. So when you are having discussions, when you are interacting with people or doing your own business, when you have fixed opinions, you are not being present and you are missing information which would show that your opinion is incorrect or invalid at this moment. All right? So when I have no opinions, when I am open-minded, when I am present, you have tremendous energy because no energy is wasted on resistance or on the tremendous amount of energy it takes to leap time and go back decades ago where your opinion was formed. Okay? And your follow-up question, we can do everything but cannot do anything. Yes, you see, you can't actually do anything. We say that you can't do. All you can do is respond. You respond to events. You don't actually do anything. Like, for example, you want to learn a language. I want to learn Spanish because I want to live in Spain. I don't actually want to learn Spanish. I am reacting to liking Mallorca, which is in Spain, which is therefore better to learn the language of Spanish. So I don't actually want to learn Spanish on my own out of the blue, but it is triggered by the event of me wanting to live in Spain. Okay? So this is what we mean, is that what you are doing, you're generally just responding. Okay? Now, so you can't really do anything because I need the right conditions to learn Spanish. I need a teacher, a book, a course, whatever it may be. I need to live in Spain to learn it well. So on my own, I need conditions. Okay? So when we say you can do everything but you cannot do anything, means independently. So everything requires the conditions, external support, something to allow you to do it. I want to build the furniture in my home. Okay, you'll come to my home, which now Andy owns, and you'll see the many things in there that I built. A lot of stuff. Some of the best stuff is up in the bedroom, though, the cabinets and the wardrobes and all of these things. But if I did not have tools, if I did not have timber, if I did not have glue, I could not build these things. So I cannot do in the sense of totally independently. So that's what we have to remember, that don't think I can do anything, and then that allows your perhaps ego to build that you're independent, because we're not. Okay, so we're getting humility by that. Now, anything is relative. You know, you say you can do everything or anything. Well, you can't be an astronaut, right? You can't be a Leonardo da Vinci. You know, there's a lot of things you simply cannot do. All right, so you cannot do anything. You can do anything that you are capable of within your physical capacities and intellectual capacities. All right, but that's only if you put in the effort, right? So when you say I can do anything, you have to be very careful. Very relative statement. All right. So if you put in the effort and you have the intellectual or physical capacity, or can build those capacities, then yes, you can do, as long as you understand that you have to have no opinions, so you don't push anyone away that you need to help you do what you want to do. So you see how everything is tied in together now, because the idea of the opinions I just spoke about tie into your ability to do anything, because by being open-minded and present, you can learn or acquire what is necessary at the moment, and you will not push away anybody who you need to help you achieve what you want to do. Okay, so you can do anything you're capable of, not anything you just think of. Another reason is it's about fragmentation, because if I say I can do what that guy is doing because I like him and it looks cool and he's got a lot of girls after him and I want that and so on, but it's not really something for me that I really want to do, but it's I want to do that, or I think I can do that because I want to get what he's got. See, so that's a fragment. You'll never be able to do it, because you're not doing it sincerely to do that thing. That is a lie. You're really doing it to get what he's got. So anytime you have a desire to do something and you cannot get yourself to do it, the answer is that's because you don't really want it. You want something that will come with it. So you find out, what do I really want, and find another way to get it. Okay, Sham. Questions are not clear, Sham. I hear in your questions a lot of other things you've read, other people you've heard, things like that. So you basically don't grasp the concepts yet of fragmentation and of the things you're asking about. So you need to work more on getting rid of your formed opinions and thinking you understand, to open your mind to new concepts. Okay, but now nonetheless we will speak. Now it is not that we form a fragment, you see? Again, this is some New Agey things which say you create everything. Well, you don't create anything. Things just happen to you. So we do not form fragments. Fragments form automatically based on events. The sponge does not absorb water, but water is poured on the sponge for it to absorb water. Because if the sponge sat on the table and the jug of water sat beside it, the sponge could not absorb the water. The water must be poured in contact with the sponge for the sponge to absorb it. So we do not form fragments, as you said in your question, but fragments form automatically by contact with events. So you're not doing anything. Things just happen. Okay. Now you cannot know all your fragments. So there is no good fragments. Okay? They all fragments make you confused. Fragments cause inner conflict. So there's no such thing as a good fragment or a bad fragment. The concept of fragmentation is the basis behind inner conflict and external conflicts and opinions and so on. So all fragments need to be eliminated ultimately. All right, you won't get rid of all of them, but at least you work towards it. Understanding fragmentation should help you at least understand your inner conflicts, which is a step towards correcting it. Now, fragments make you opinionated. All right, each fragment is an individual opinion. Maybe this helps you understand what fragments are. Okay, every opinion is a fragment. A fragment is an opinion, or a fragment has an opinion. So when you are working on removing fixed opinions, when you are removing being subjective and becoming more objective, you are also helping to remove fragments, which means less inner conflict. Okay, so now if you just make people happy and change your opinions, and yes, that's just fragments based on wanting to be liked rather than wanting to be real or authentic, to wanting to be a unified I, wanting to be a singular person who is in total mental and emotional freedom. So if you just want to make people happy, you're always going to suffer because you will never be able to be yourself. In the Kabbalah, it is said that in order to be enlightened, excuse me, in unity with God, you have to be wealthy. The reason you have to be wealthy is the opposite of being wealthy, which is poor or not that wealthy, always desiring more, needing more. If I need a job, I'm never going to tell my boss what I really think of him. If I need sex, I'm not going to tell the girl what I really want or really think. So if a girl needs to have a baby, she's not supposed to tell the guy that because he's going to run away. Okay? She's got to hook him first. So, if I am wealthy, I don't need anything from anyone. So, you understand, wealthy is not just financial, right? Absolutely financial. That's a huge part. If you think about everything in your life, how much you need, you want, how much you bend your opinions, keep your mouth shut, don't say what you think, 98% of it is about money, or infinite money would resolve that issue. Okay? So wealthy is in two senses, the financial and the emotional, the personal sense of wealth, knowing your true self, not needing anyone, having overcome desires as much as possible. All right, so anytime you are bending your opinion or your opinions change, then you are a fragment who is needy. You're weak, you're needy, you need people to like you, you're scared of conflict, you're scared of rejection, okay? And this goes for everyone, not just Sham, to everyone to a different degree. So you overcome that by being free. Okay, so you're free, you're confident, comfortable with yourself, so you don't need anyone to like you. You don't need the job to make money. Okay, and this is how you will help to overcome a lot of fragments, a lot of inner conflict. Now, of course, if you knew that you're flipping-flopping, every day your opinions change. Today I believe this, tomorrow I believe that, and it's because I am weak or in need and desperate, you wouldn't really be a happy person. So buffers are used automatically, the system designed, so that you don't see that you are jumping opinions, and you will not realize that you are basically bullshitting to yourself and to everyone to get what you need. Because if you saw the truth about yourself, you wouldn't be very happy. So the buffers help you prevent seeing the fragments. And of course, if you can't see it, you can't do anything about it. So that's why in our work we try to be perfect integrity with our word, as I did with the camera, as example, to the point, because usually people say, I always keep my word, but if I'm going to lose money, well, there it's okay, I can break my word. when it comes to money, which is why I use that example, because I am willing, and I have always been willing, to lose money in order to maintain my integrity, right? Because that's the one which usually everybody will give up their word and not care about, most commonly. So if you have enough money, you don't need. So you watch how many things you do, how you compromise your integrity. And as you begin to see that, if you don't need as much, you can begin to see your fragments and your opinions, and you can begin to be more consistent in who you are. That's the greatest compliment. I've had some people tell me, you're the most consistent man I've ever met. When you tell a story, it's always the same. When you meet people, you're always the same. Okay, that's what we want to be. Now, you may think you are consistent, but until somebody else tells you, somebody else who knows you for many years says, yes, you are consistent, yes, you are stable, and so on, then never trust your opinion. Because remember, your opinion is based on your machine, and your machine has fragments and buffers and justifications so that you will never see the truth about yourself. So you cannot trust your own opinion of yourself unless you keep a documented journal, the 5 questions every night, and so on. But still, it's better to have someone who knows you for many years tell you what you're really like, if they don't need you to like them, so they can be honest. So you see, we're stuck with big problems in the normal human life, which is why we need a school where we are together constantly for years and years and years, our whole life, not necessarily living together, but at least almost every day, so that in the school the people are devoted to the pursuit of truth, so they can be honest. And of course, you need a teacher who has vision, can see the truth behind you. All right, so you keep pursuing that. Let's see how it goes. Now, be open to listen and think, but you have to decide what makes sense. In Sham's question, we're continuing with that about, people telling you different things. What do you believe? Listen, but think. One of the ethics is use common sense. You have to think, does this make sense? Is this valid? What do I want to believe? All right? So you have to think, listen objectively, and then be a scientist. Work it out. Okay? How do you determine, whatever, I made notes while, on that video which I'm talking. How do you determine what's right and wrong, I suppose? Well, it comes with being more awake and not just a people pleaser, open to absorbing any dirty water like a sponge, okay? So basically, when you're in need of something, your need of a boyfriend, of a girlfriend, of whatever, you need a job, you absorb what anyone tells you if they are someone you need, just like a sponge absorbs crappy water. And so again, more fragments are formed, more inner conflict is created, and so on. So it again comes to becoming free, knowing what you want, and not deceiving yourself. Why is it that in 5 years, 50% of people get divorced? In 10 years, it's 75% of people are divorced. Why? It's very simple. Because the whole relationship is based on a lie. You think you like this person. You think you love this person. You think. Because you don't know the truth about yourself or what you want or why you're there. So this is where disasters come into our life. And you say, what went wrong? As if things were good to begin with and then they went bad. But that's not true. They began bad because they began with you not being objective to determine if what is really the situation is acceptable to you, or how much you would compromise sincerely, rather than just blinding. The 3 monkeys: see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. rather than be the three monkeys, from the beginning. So it went bad from the beginning because you went in with your eyes closed, with the rose-colored glasses on. You didn't want to see the truth because you wanted something so much. You were not willing to accept, but subconsciously blinding yourself. So there you go. And this is what's important. So you determine by first saying, what do I really want, and being objective. Okay, so there you go. That's your answers to all those questions. I hope that's nice enough. Oh, half an hour, 30 minutes. Okay, bye-bye.